Nintendo Switch is a versatile little system that marries some of the best aspects of portable gaming with modern game design. It's also a great system to play arcade games with. In this episode of the Big Retro Show, I'm going to be talking about some of the best arcade games to play on the Switch today. The 80s and 90s were great times to be a kid. Join me as I dive into the world of movies, music, video games and toys, and explore what made these decades so great. This is the Big Retro Show. First up is Is AF Mustang. If you like shoot-'em-ups, shmups for short, then this is a good game to add to your Switch library. You play as one of two pilots who take on Nazi Germany and its allies in a game that is reminiscent of games like UN Squadron. Released in the arcades in 1990, US AAF Mustang is a horizontal shmup that pits you against both Nazi air and ground forces in 8 stages of combat. Your P-51 Mustang is armed with both an air and ground attack, and using the attack button unleashes both attacks simultaneously, which is helpful. The enemies in this game come at you fast from both the air and the ground, and at times it can seem a bit bullet hellish. You power up your plane with gun upgrades and more bombs. The gun upgrades make your regular shots spread out more, but does nothing to the ground bombs you unleash. This game is set in different areas of Japan, Germany, and Africa, and the game spans 8 stages. The bosses in this game are quite impressive to look at, and even more impressive when you take them out. They can be cheap. After all, this is an arcade game, but it's nothing you can't handle by continuing. The game's graphics are really pleasant to look at, and the sounds aren't too shabby. My one gripe with this game is that it has no proper ending. After you beat the final boss, which is just all the bosses you have taken on previously, the game just loops. I mean, come on! At any rate, this game is still a fun arcade game to have on your Switch. You can pick it up for $8 on the eShop. One of the best run-and guns in the arcades found a home on the Switch, and right now you can buy it in other Data East arcade games for only $2. The game is Sly Spy, and it was originally released in the arcades in 1989. Sly Spy puts you in the role of Sly, a super spy who is tasked with stopping a plot to unleash a nuclear attack on the US. The game starts out with you jumping out of a plane. Gun in hand, you must fight off dudes who just happen to jump with you. It gives you a hint of the craziness that's to come in this game's 8 stages. One of the best things about this game is that the gameplay changes up between levels. Some levels have you running through stages and taking out bad guys on foot. Other stages have you fighting goons and sharks while swimming in scuba gear. And then there's a part in the game where you hop on a motorcycle to take on the enemies. This type of level design adds some good variety to the gameplay. You're armed with a handgun to begin with, and if you run out of bullets, you can use your punches and kicks against the bad guys. You could also find a variety of weapons sprinkled throughout the levels and even a golden gun, which of course is a nod to the Bond movie, The Man with a Golden Gun. In fact, there are tons of Bond references in this game, and I wondered how they got away with making one of the bosses Jaws from the Bond movies, Jaws from the actual movie Jaws, and Oddjob, also from the Bond film. The protagonist himself is based on good old 007. This game also gives shoutouts to games like Bad Dudes and Karnov, both great games from Data East. At any rate, this game is a fast-paced run-and-gun with great graphics, gameplay, and sound, and is a worthy addition to your Switch library. For only $2, you should pick this up before it goes up in price. Anyone who has played the Ninja Savior's Return of the Warriors will want to pick up the Ninja Warriors for the Switch. I first spoke about this excellent side-scrolling hack and slash in my Taito Arcade Showcase episode, and it's one of the best games you can play in the arcades. You play as one of 2 cyborg ninjas who must overthrow a corrupt president and his army. In the Ninja Warriors, you take on scores of army dudes, canines, and other cyborgs, and heavy artillery to defeat the president. One of my favorite aspects of this game is the graphics and the sound. The graphics are beautifully drawn, and the sound effects used when you slash an enemy adds to the production value. The other great thing about this game is its panoramic view. It's one of a handful of games that appeared in full panoramic glory in the arcades. This game is a must-play for fans of arcades and ninjas and will cost $8, and in my opinion, worth every penny. Sunset Riders is probably one of my favorite run-and-guns of the arcades. The game is a masterpiece and you owe it to yourself to play this right away. The gameplay in Sunset Riders is rather simple. You play as one of 4 Wild West heroes who must take out a variety of wanted villains. It's probably one of the first run-and-guns that allowed 4 players simultaneously. In Sunset Riders, you take on scores of enemies and it's super fun taking them out with your guns. Each cowboy you choose has a different weapon that you can use to take out your enemies. You can also power up your weapon by collecting gun icons in the game, and there are a lot of interactive elements in the level for you to shoot at, such as a barrel that you shoot to blow everyone up, a stampede that you must avoid, or a pair of rocks you can shoot to crush your enemies below. Oh yeah, there's also this cool Gatling gun. Although the combat is not boring, it is broken up by a couple of horse riding stages that are fun to play too. Each of the boss characters you take on has their own character and are fun to fight. Sure, it can be difficult to take them out, but such is the nature of the arcades. Sunset Riders was so good that even its ports to the Sega Genesis and the SNES were of high quality. Just look at the beautiful graphics and sound. Do yourself a favor and cop this game today for $8. Before I talk about the last game, here are a few honorable mentions.
Got it. Got it.
If you are looking for a good arcade beat-em-up to play on your Switch, look no further than Zero Team USA. Zero Team USA is a relatively obscure beat-em-up that just happens to live on the Switch for everyone to enjoy. The plot is basic, but hey, that's how we like it in the world of beat-em-ups. You play as one of 4 heroes who must rescue the girl. Each hero has their strengths and weaknesses. There is the balanced dude, the fast but weak girl, the strong dude, and the dude whose stats are slightly below the balanced dude, but slightly above the weakest gal. It's a formula that's been seen over and over in beat-em-ups, but it works here too. The other thing that works here is the combat. It's super satisfying and your combos and reach are all really easy to pull off and gain the upper hand on your enemies. While there are no dash attacks in this game, it doesn't seem to matter, and that's because the game includes grapple attacks and a variety of things to throw like this scooter at your enemies. You can even kill your enemies with a rocket launcher. It's fun to use because there's more than one use to the rocket launcher. This game can be played with up to 4 players, adding to the fun factor. The enemies and bosses in this game are fun to fight, and for the price tag of $8, this game is well worth it. And that's going to be it for today's episode of The Big Retro Show. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and consider subscribing to The Big Retro Show.